Good morning. My name is Avik. So I have a question for you that you just mentioned in one of your slides that data is inherently dumb. Algorithms are where the real value lies. Now since AI is one of the algorithms, I would like to ask that how does it generate efficient results compared to those generated when I use the analytics softwares?
Sorry, you have to say it again.
I mean, how does the AI generate efficient results? An algorithm like that.
So, okay, have a seat. I think let's look at how projects in data science and AI happens. There is a problem statement or a problem definition by the clients. You go by that, you aggregate, or you kind of, let's say, look at data which is available. You build, if there are no data pipes, data lakes, or the data architecture, you build that. Then on top of that, either you look at existing algorithm which is not working right, or you build an organic algorithm, or curate that. The fact of the matter is how you present. The piece which is often forgotten, but the most relevant. Are you relating to the problem what the client gave you, or are you relating to the algorithm what you presented with? Which means the more technical you are, the more are the chances of that project going down. Because if the clients would have understood the technicalities and intricacies of AI data science, they would have done it by themselves. It's more about solving the problem. Can that particular algorithm increase the sales, increase the customer base? Can talk about mitigating the bottom line, can talk about, let's say, launching new product and services. And that's where the applications of every industry and functions by usage of analytics AI varies. And as we say, analytics, data science, AI, every project is different. And that's where the learning big comes in. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir, for such a brilliant and outstanding talk. We are very grateful you took time out of your schedule to address the future leaders out here. Thank you, sir. It's time to introduce you to our next speaker for the day. We have with us Dr. Avik Sarkar, a very renowned and reputed name in the world of data science and AI. He has been head of data analytics cell at NITI Aayog, Government of India, where he was in charge of developing roadmap for use of data, analytics and artificial intelligence for governance policy and digital across direct benefit transfer, innovation, digital payments, healthcare and agriculture. Dr. Sarkar has recently been nominated among the top 10 data scientists in India by the Analytics India magazine. He has worked with esteemed organizations like Nokia, Persistent Systems, IBM, Accenture, and has worked as a research intern at NASA. We would run short of words in his appraisal. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Dr. Avik Sarkar with a huge round of applause. I would request Mr. Suraj to kindly present a sapling to Dr. Sarkar.
How are you all doing? That was a terrific lecture by Samir to start the day. He raises the bar so high, following him is a big challenge. And like I was feeling like in my slides I have no video at all. Even the slide designs are only white. He has a very, it was awesome the way you know. so my slides are more like Sattvic. Really black and white. Don't too much color. So So I think you've got a very good introduction on how AI and data science has been used in the industry, and which is a very good overview that Samir has provided. And that also helps me a lot because I in my profession have worked in that domain, like in the industry corporate for about 15, 16 years, and I was sort of thinking like the application of data science in different domains. And then one area which I saw was quite neglected was the use of data or data science in the citizen service delivery and improving government and government functioning. And that's the area that I will be primarily talking about. So these are some of the small things that I have done myself in India, or I have seen some other organizations doing, but they are more for citizen service delivery, social good, or public policy sector. So this becomes very important because when Samir was also mentioning, like the use of data science comes very naturally when you have a set objective of say increasing profitability for a company. It's a very clear goal. But when you have the objective of say improving citizens' satisfaction or citizen service delivery, the goal itself is not that clear to start with. So in those cases, working on data science becomes much of a challenge. So here are some of the things that I will talk briefly about. It's a range of very small use cases that I will talk to you on how that has been done. So when I talk about data science, one thing that I want to first all of you to understand is the policy making process and why government, particularly India, the case that you see on the ground is very slow. When we talk about policy making process, we actually talk about a cycle. If you can read it from the end, it basically starts with something like setting, finalizing what the agenda setting is. So you start with a problem, say it's a traffic problem, or it's a malnutrition problem, or it's the quality of education which is a problem that you start with. So you start with what is the problem that you want to solve. And then there would have been a lot of researchers, think tanks who have worked on that problem. So you work with them to basically do the policy discussion, like what are the possible solutions to a problem of that nature. Then what happens is that the formulation of the policy takes place. At that point, what policy is basically more of a white paper or some sort of strategy that is there. Till the time the policy is accepted. What we mean by the acceptance of a policy is that this document that has been created by the expert, that is either been accepted in the Vidhan Sabha, if it's a state policy, or in the Lok Sabha, if it's a central policy. And then once that acceptance has been done, then comes the process of say, giving money for that, which is the provisioning of means. So you might accept a policy that say certain thing needs to be done, but you don't allocate any budget to solve that problem. It's like as good as not solving the problem at all. You identify the problem, you pass a bill for it, but there is no money allocated to solving that problem. That's like you really cannot do much on the ground because there is no resources available to implement that. So once the money is made available, then comes the aspect of implementation, and then comes the aspect of evaluation. So often we see that this process takes like 5 to 10 years, starting from identification of a problem to say going to do an evaluation. And the very nice thing that we have in the government is that people get transferred from one position to another, government is changing, and when you come to the step of evaluation and something is not working, it becomes very easy for people to tell that so and so didn't work because the previous person did something wrong. So because by the time you're in one stage, you can tell like you didn't have much say on one of the previous steps that was done by one of your predecessors. So to evaluation of policies. So whatever we talk about is tested on the ground, and real-time feedback is provided based on what you can then improve the stuff. So when we talk about this real-time thing, this basically talks about analytics. When you are talking about an evaluation to start with, you are basically talking about the analytics that comes into the play. Because you are talking about doing some measurements and doing some evaluation of the whole thing. So one of the things that when I was there, the thing that DCI was involved in is to do the indexing and the ranking of states. It's a very simple activity to see from the analytics point of view, but the power of it was very large. So one of the things is regarding the health. And I also was happy to hear that you have a healthcare management program here. So in health, what happens is that how often do you come to know about the status of health in the country? Have any of you heard about the survey called National Family and Health Survey? Yes. Okay, good. So the National Family and Health Survey basically takes a very detailed look at what is the status of health in the country. And this is something, we had the recent report that came out in 2015-16, and that is called the NFHS 4. And before that, the one that came out was in 2004 and 5. So we come to know about the status of the health in the states and in the districts only at an interval of 10 years, because the data collection, the survey and all those things are so time consuming, and it happens as time consuming and costly. It happens at an interval of 10 years. Now think about an example in your life. Let's say you are a school student and you are in a certain class, and you know that you will get evaluated only after 5 years, only after 10 years. Like you will go to the next class, whatever happens. The normal behavior is you don't have a incentive to perform, because your performance is not measured on an ongoing basis. So since your performance is not measured on an ongoing basis, what is the incentive to improve at all? Because it is not in the public domain, people don't come to know about it, it's completely hidden. So what Nitya came up with that is that indexing of the health at the state level on a yearly basis. This was not as detailed as, say, the National Family and Health Survey, which looks at, say, about 160 indicators that it comes out with. This is a much more shorter list, a shorter list of only, say, 30 indicators that we are looking at. But measuring those 30 indicators on a yearly basis and telling which of the aspects that needs improvement, which of the aspects are working, which of the aspects are not working, and then making this available to the public so that they know how the various aspects of health are performing. There is also a lot of focus on the administrative aspects of the health delivery system, like how is the government hospital performing, how is the refill of medicine station. So that are a lot of the administrative aspects that are taken care of. Like say, if you are talking about say pregnant women, how many pregnant women you have registered for antenatal checkups. These are more of an administrative problem. Like you have to go house to house and ensure that a pregnant woman gets at least 3 to 4 antenatal checkups during the period of the pregnancy. This is like an administrative problem. This is not like something that this woman might know about. You have to go to their house and you have to tell them and register them. So these are administrative issues. If you measure this woman and you know that someone are anemic, then you can give them iron tablets and do something on that. But if you don't visit them at all, you don't know what they're doing. So a lot of the parameters are around that. Like how is your administration doing in reaching out to them? Like AAC is one of the examples I gave. Say giving out the vaccination. This weekend, the children in that area will be healthy if they have been given the proper vaccination, they have been given the proper food when they are like infants. So these are some of the administrative things that have to be monitored by the government officials. And there are designated Anganwadi workers and ANC workers to do this activity. It's just to see whether they are performing well or not. And these sort of indicators are very important to be monitored so that they work. This sort of thing, I think a lot of you sitting in this room would have worked in corporate. It's a very basic thing when you go to a corporate, like they measure on a weekly or a monthly basis how you are performing, your appraisals happen and things of the nature. But when in a lot of the government, delivering this sort of things have not been done, so there are basic changes. So this sort of things have been started in the last 2-3 years by the efforts of India. So like health, education and measuring the aspects and the outcomes of education is again one of the important things that we are measuring on a yearly basis. Water is a very important aspect because all of you know like water is so important for the agriculture in the country. We are so dependent on agriculture in this country. So water becomes very crucial. So what this water index measures is that not how much water you have in the state. Like a state in Gujarat might have much lesser amount of rivers going through it as compared to the Uttar Pradesh. You cannot do anything about it by doing the index. That's the geographical aspect. What the index focuses on whatever amount of water you have. One state might have 1,000 units, another state might have 100 units. What are the efficient practices that you have in place to ensure that everyone gets this water? Like you have to build irrigation canals, whether the last person whose field is at the end of the irrigation canal gets proper water or not. These are more like administrative issues and that are things that you can improve. Otherwise, what happens, a large majority of people in India, their farming is only dependent on rain. So if there is irrigation water available, then they have a dependable source if the rain fails. A lot of the time you might have heard in the news that because of the rain failing, crop failures happen, which is a very common trend. So as an insurance user, you can have irrigation water, but currently the percentage of irrigation fields is very low. So these are some of the practices that you can keep. In the urban areas, whether you are doing rainwater harvesting or not. Again, it's a natural phenomenon whether you have put in practices for rainwater harvesting in the urban areas, because a lot of the urban cities, particularly say Bangalore for example, I think almost every household there has to rely on tankers for water, because water is so scarce in one of the biggest cities in India. So measuring this aspect on a yearly basis, make sure that the administrators and the bureaucrats and the ministers who are working there are on their toes and they actually perform on those areas. It also provides them a quantitative measurement of each of the aspects they are working with and which is not working. Next is the Sustainable Development Goals. All of you might know about the 16, 17 Sustainable Development Goals. We as a country are responsible for the Sustainable Development Goal at the international level. But as a country, we can improve only when each of the individual states improve. So for each of the individual goals, all the states and all the union territories are measured on different indicators and they are ranked and been put in the public domain for the last 2 years. This helps them improve and see where they are and what are the areas that they can improve upon. Innovation is a very important aspect because and a lot of them also have a linkages with the global factor. Like say there is the ACI index for health and education and life expectancy, innovation, sustainable development goal, the international measurement. So innovation has a global innovation index, and for India to improve as a whole, each of the individual states need to improve. So for that, we have the state innovation index that measures the state how they are doing on innovation. Innovation is a very interesting concept because what we measure by innovation is that a lot of aspects, like how is the primary education in that state, what is the support for secondary and tertiary education in that state, how is the research and R&D facilities in that state, what are the industries and the industrial clusters. Often what happens is that just setting up one single industry is not enough, but you need to set up a cluster of industries for them to perform and to flourish very well. So these are all the factors that are taken into consideration. And one of the things that you'll see is that you might all of you have heard about the first 5 are only there for 1 or 2 years, but all of you have known about the ease of doing business ranking, which has been there since 2012. So the ease of doing business ranking, when it came out in the first year, we saw the usual states like say Karnataka, Telangana come up on the top. Gujarat, but what it was giving was it was giving a detailed score across the different factors. But so by year 3, we saw a state like Sarkar come up in the top 5. And this was one of the power of indexing and ranking, things like that. You know, like a state which has not performed well in ease of doing business, identifying which are the factors they can improve upon, and then moving further on that part. So often what that these are all the index ranking that is for the state development. We see that there are states which are performing as a whole pretty well, but there are districts within a state which are not performing well or late, or they are quite behind the average. So for that, India has been working on ranking the district hospitals. District hospital ranking, like all the districts have a central district hospital, and ranking the district hospitals primarily on the administrative functions, like if you have replenishment of your medicine or oxygen cylinder, how many days was it to refill that stock? All administrative issues are taken care of. How well are you managing your deliveries? How well are you managing your functions? And things of those nature are taken into consideration to see how the administration of the district hospitals are performing. Municipal and civic bodies, like the corporation bodies, how they are performing is another grading that we are trying to work on. Ease of living. You take each district in the country, like about 720 districts, 24 districts in the country, and you measure them across 7 different factors. I just showed you in the next slide. And you measure them on 7 different factors and show how livable that district is, like how good or bad is the access to basic infrastructure, skill development, and things of those nature. So you can see in real time how the districts are performing and how the improvement of these things on an ongoing basis. So one of the flagship programs is the aspirational district program, which was launched a couple of years back in last year in 2018. It looked at basically it took the data for all the districts at that time and then took the 115 bottommost districts in the country from this aggregated weighted score, and a targeted program was made to improve this district many folds in this 4 years till 2022. And this aspirational district goals are one step ahead. And so for all of this you see, we are measuring the states and the districts on a yearly basis. In the aspirational district, this is the dashboard of the aspirational district. You can find it online in champion.change.org. So you see on a month-by-month basis, you can see what the score of that particular district is. This is there only the chosen 150 districts, not for all the 750 districts of India. And they are measured on these different indicators, like what is their score on health and nutrition is one indicator. What is their score on education? What is the agriculture and water resources? And then financial inclusion and skill development. And the last one on the basic infrastructure, like the road infrastructure and other things that are there in that. So measuring each district on this indicator and on a monthly basis. So monitoring is there with the district collectors, and there are a lot of other things that happen other than doing this, because as Samir was mentioning, analytics just stops at a point, and then you have to actually do the change on the ground based on what the analytics recommend. So working with the officers, if they are facing a challenge in any of the areas, what are the challenges that they are facing, and then working with them to overcome these challenges is again one of the very important things that are there of this program. This sort of dashboard which gives you a real-time figure about certain aspects, which is not new. So we have seen for a long time the very concept of the chief minister's dashboard, which first came in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh CM has changed now, but since Mr. Naidu was the one who devised it, I still like to give his picture in one of the previous slides from there. So he devised the CM dashboard where various aspects of the state, like say, if you have street lights with IoT, dustbins with IoT, what is the water levels in the dam, what is the fund in the CM fund, and a range of indicators. They started with about less than 10 indicators when they started in year 1. Now they have over 150 indicators that they are monitoring in real time and putting them in the public domain. A very powerful thing, because people can see them on a real time. So it increases transparency a lot and also helps journalists. They can pick up any area that is lacking and then put that in the media so that people can know about it. A very powerful thing that way that put the pressure on the government and help make them perform well on this aspect. Again, this is a very real-time from there, I think all of you know about big data, so I don't want to just walk through the definition of big data. I want to take you about some applications about how big data is used in different government programs and stuff. So the first one I'll talk to you about is the Kedarnath disaster management service. All of you are aware of this one? This category is big. It was refreshed again last year when the movie came, reminding people of what happened. So this was one of the worst avalanche that happened in about 100 years in Kedarnath. So the day this incident happened, what happened was that there were more than 100 organizations who were started with the rescue operations. There were different police, paramilitary, the military, and different organizations. There were a lot of NGOs who were doing the rescue efforts, and a lot of people who are engaged in rescuing and bringing people out after the day of the incident. One question on everyone's mind was that how much of our task was accomplished and how much is still left. Because given the fact that it's an area that you cannot go now, it's under rubble, you couldn't just go and ask if someone is trapped under rubble, then, okay, are you trapped there? So the normal method would be to collect data by going and asking people how many people are there. You do not have those methods. So there we have to resort to big data technique. Any idea what sort of method was used? Some guesses? That's what was done. Good answer. So what was done was that on the day of the incident and 24 hours before that, this was the telecom operators who were there at that time. So all the mobile phones that connected to any of the base towers in that affected zone was taken into consideration, and that on the initial master list. And for the next 10 days, those numbers and those mobile phones with the EMI numbers were tracked for the next 10 days. And whenever a phone became active outside the affected zone, there was a call center that was calling them and then making sure that they have reached the safety and then their family members were also safe. So this was something that was done. But then the very fact is that the power that big data brings to you, you can use such data. Because in this scenario, there was no other data that anyone could have used to get it. Like you could have got a sense from the traffic coming by bus or truck or anything conveyed, but those could not be in a single aggregated place. You would need to go to all the bus operators, get a sense, but then again you couldn't have identified people individually. So this gives you the power about the type of thing that you can do with big data that is already dying and that is already collected by some other organization for some operational purpose, but then you have a public good use to such activities. A lot of my research with this is to talk to organizations and beg them for the data because it's all confidential data as like data privacy is a very important thing, and ensure that you can work on some public good sort of scenario around this. Big data is, and the use of big data is not this one, there are a few other use cases. So one of the things that we fail to measure very well is internal migration. So what happens is that when the census comes out every 10 years, we have a figure of migration like so and so person was from Tamil Nadu and now staying in Delhi. There is a base location, native location, and now the person you know is staying in one place. But say between these 10 years, the person from Tamil Nadu might have first stayed in Bangalore for 2 years, and then 4 years stayed in Ahmedabad, and then maybe another 2 years in Mumbai, and now moved to Delhi. So this very aspect of the continuous movement of people is something that you cannot capture. Also, there is a lot of seasonality in the travel behavior when people migrate internally. I only take the aspect of internal migration because when you do a migration across countries, there is a very good concept of passport and visa. So the border securities and the customs keep track of them. So there is a very credible data on that side. But internal migration is very difficult to get very credible data. So this was looking at the unreserved train ticket data and trying to see what sort of migration was happening, because there is also like validation, like people go back to the rural areas when there is some during the agriculture months, sowing months, or during those times, and they come back to the cities when the agriculture lean period. So this sort of seasonal change was identified based on this data that was there. A very good way. And again, this is the all right keeping data which has been lying idle and not been used. So a very good use of that data to start with. Property tax. So very interesting use case. So they took two cities, Bangalore and Jaipur, and this was a picture that we get from satellite imagery. So from satellite imagery, you actually count the total number of houses in the city based on build-up area. Like you can count the individual houses, and even if it's a high rise, you can estimate how many floors there are and estimate the total number of flats based in that house. So based on that, you basically get an estimated number of the total number of houses that should be paying property tax in Bangalore city. And then you map this data with BBMP to see what is the actual tax collected, to measure in real time what is the efficiency of tax collection by the corporation, BBMP corporation, Bangalore corporation. So again, a very easy and inexplicable way in which you can understand the functioning of your corporation through this sort of data point. Mobile network data, I showed one use case that is there, which was more for like disaster recovery or an evacuation. But there is a lot of other use cases of mobile network data. This is the data from Sri Lanka. When you see across the day how the mobile phone patterns change. So you see the area on the left, which is the downtown Colombo area, and the areas that around it are the areas, residential areas that people come to downtown Colombo for work. So you can see an increase in the density of the area, because the increase in density is shown in red here. So increase in density in those areas during the working hours, and decrease in normal density of those places during the daytime. So it means the people from this area are coming. You can then go into very detailed minute level to understand from which area people are coming more, which area people are coming less. And this sort of data is very useful for planning of urban traffic and urban movements, and for policy planning purposes, like you want to decide the bus routes, train routes, or building of new roads. This sort of data, you can see a very different pattern completely when it's a weekend. The pattern is quite different because people are not traveling for work. Again, a study from Sri Lanka, because they got access to the telecom data there. So one of the highways was built, which is the green one, and it was a paid highway. And after that highway was opened, they wanted to see whether the traffic which was there in the blue line actually shifted to the green one, even though it was paid, and how much traffic has moved. So they saw that there was significant increase in traffic on the green one, and the reduction in traffic in the other one, and the travel time also dropped drastically. So you can see in the graph on the left, the travel time saw a significant decrease at different times of the day, taking the newer route. Again, this sort of information which you have to travel, you have to capture by other ways. This is very time-consuming material. You have to go on cards, put on sensors there, and measure them. And just by taking this data in a completely anonymized manner, without knowing the individual, and only getting the aggregate data, you can get very good insight on the travel behavior of people across the city and what to do. And now coming from big data, which was more to do with the taking a large amount of data and displaying it, or doing some simple calculation on it, to the artificial intelligence. So when I was at NITI Aayog last year, we came up with a national strategy on artificial intelligence for India. So this strategy talked about So we identified there were four major gaps that India needs to work upon. So when we are looking at artificial intelligence, we saw that if you look at the total number of of an AI patent. India is not one of the leading ones with say US, China and Japan leading the race. Even UK was higher in that. And one of the reasons for that was that the AI research is not the cutting edge one in India. So research publications are not the cutting edge. So to address this area, there was a range of things that need to be done. So one was that more focus on the core research in AI was a very important factor. And this is for the whole country as a whole. So setting up centers for core research excellence. So this will be more focused on developing algorithms, particularly that will focus for the natural language processing or say particular vision recognition and things of those nature. Next comes big time. This is more to do with the using the algorithm for solving a real life problem. There were 5 areas that we saw as the priority areas from the India's perspective, and they were healthcare, agriculture, education, mobility, and smart cities. Smart cities is very important because a large population of India will be moving to the cities by in the next 20-30 years. We also have a big aspect of ethical AI and societal aspects of technology, and there is no credible organization to talk about this aspect in the country. We have technological issues, we have management issues, but we are talking about the intersection of ethics, law, regulation, and society. There is no one looking at those aspects. So there is a need for Center for Studies in Technological Sustainability, which also needs to be set up, and then skilling the population on AI. And on skilling, I think if you look at skilling in AI, and given that I'm in a management institute, I want to just focus on that aspect a bit. That the skilling is a very important aspect of AI, but you have to also understand that the skilling in AI has a very wide spectrum. It not just means that you are doing the coding of algorithms, so I break it up into like 4 areas broadly. One is the type of people who are deep into developing the algorithm and who are extremely good coders who are developing the code of the algorithm only, like someone developing TensorFlow or Python. Not aware of the domain at all, but mostly involved in the development of the algorithm only. So this is a very different skill that you require, coding and algorithm only. That's like one type of skill that you can do. Next one is more aligned to the second one. The algorithm is already developed, the algorithm package or whatever you like to call it, is developed, but you have to judiciously use it to solve a business problem which is going around. So applicability is a very important aspect, and how you use that story. There again there are a lot of things that come here. One is the core AI where you apply the predictive aspects of AI, but then predictive aspects of AI doesn't come on day one.